Cody Rhodes is your brand new WWE champion, defeating John Cena in a street fight. Seth freaking Rollins was not injured after all, and he cashed in Money in the Bank on the brand new World Heavyweight Champion CM Punk. And of course, Seth is now your new World Heavyweight Champion. But most controversial of all, Brock Lesnar is back in WWE, taking out John Cena at the end of SummerSlam Night 2. A controversial yet bold move from WWE. Of course, Brock Lesnar has been mentioned in the allegations of the Janelle Grant lawsuit. For me, I'm going to be open and say we're going to kick things off talking about Brock Lesnar because it is the controversial big talking point of the show. SummerSlam arguably is a show that for 2 nights has provided many big talking points, many exciting, fun moments, but this one is controversial. Like I said, it doesn't feel like, in my opinion, the right time to bring Brock back, just purely on the fact that that court case has not been resolved as yet, and his name has been mentioned in it. However, Brock being back, do they know something we do not? I'm not sure at this point. WWE have chosen to bring him back. Obviously, it looks like he'll be John Cena's next opponent. I can only assume that's going to be at Clash in Paris. If you'd said to me,
Crown Jewel,
perhaps Crown Jewel could be the destination as well, but of course, John Cena will be performing on both shows. What's your take on Brock being returned? Because like I say, for me, I don't feel like it's the right time. We've not seen him since the allegations were first brought up just before the Royal Rumble 2024. And of course, from that moment, Brock Lesnar was pulled from that Royal Rumble match, and we haven't seen him since.
To steal something from Ace Ventura, if you look up pro wrestling's all-time bonehead plays, this has by far got to be one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. I honestly have lost a lot of respect for Triple H this weekend over a few things. Not just Brock. There are one or two other things that I've lost respect for him over this weekend. But look, like you said, their lawyers must know something, and he must be, in their eyes, clear of any wrongdoing for them to bring him back, because obviously, like you said, he is a controversial figure at the minute with this Janelle Grant lawsuit. And I'm sorry, but for me, this SummerSlam, top 5 worst SummerSlams ever. I think this is a horrible SummerSlam. I think, aside from 1 or 2 bright moments in this show, I think it's horrible. I think the booking is wrong for most parts. Well, not for most parts, just I think for a lot of the key parts, it's wrong. I think the Seth cash-in is lazy booking. I think bringing Brock back is the wrong decision. There's a lot of people online, people that hide behind like Twitter profiles that don't have real photos. This is the best. You should have brought him back ages ago. But if you look at a lot of social influencers, some of them are like, it's shocking, but I don't understand why they've done it. I think it's a bad idea. But like I said, WWE obviously knows something we don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, I actually like the sentence you said there. Shocking, because yes, it shocked me. I didn't see it coming. What is going to be the fallout? How we're going to play things out after this is going to be interesting from a TV perspective, but obviously from behind the scenes and real life perspective. Like you said, do they know something we don't? I suppose we should always take the notice of I suppose innocent until proven guilty as well. He has been brought in, obviously, a very similar way to he got brought back in 2012. John Cena was in the ring then in 2012, kind of a carbon copy play out. You would imagine, obviously, John Cena is his farewell tour. I'm not suggesting this is a Cena request, but, these two have had many great epic matches over the time period of John Cena and Brock Lesnar's career, so perhaps maybe to do this one more time, there could be a factor of that in this. It just, for me, it feels bold. I mean, obviously, look, I will be honest and say, like everybody, was disappointed when you saw the names come up and horrified with everything that's been brought up. There were matches that you'd want to see Brock Lesnar have had. Gunther said that was one of his dream matches, and like seeing him come back, I suppose those things become a possibility. But again, I come back to this thing of timing. I feel like it's the wrong time because we don't have a conclusion.
Does Brock Cena need the John Cena rub in 2025? Is Brock Lesnar the person John Cena should be putting over in his final year? Like, just to talk about quickly the reasons why that they came out and claimed that John Cena wanted to face Brock Lesnar. I don't think John Cena wants to face Brock Lesnar. I don't think that at all. I think that John Cena's about to lead the company and go off to Hollywood. Why would he want to be caught up in a whole the thing with someone who's part of a massive legal dispute? I don't think it was. And then they come out on Raw and said that Kyle and Triple H had spoke to him and said they told him it was time to come home. So they've already sort of backtracked on what the original decision was, and now they're going with this. And it's like, it's just this stupid, man. Like I said, I've lost a lot of respect for Triple H this weekend, and yeah, there's other things, but we'll talk about them as we talk about the rest of the show.
Absolutely. I think we're both standing on it's perhaps not the right time for Brock to come back, but still, obviously Brock Lesnar versus John Cena does appear to be in the future. From an on-screen standpoint, it's going to be interesting how fans will react to it and how they will play the story moving forward. But obviously, to get to the future, we first need to go back to the past. And obviously, SummerSlam is a big show that took place. And look, I think we should go back to night one, do things in the right order. So we'll start things, obviously. Cardi B kicking off the opening night. I'm not going to lie. Had difficulty understanding a word she was saying. Found it quite annoying. I was more surprised that Cardi B was not used for a segment with Naomi, from being brutally honest, as apparently they've had some Twitter beef.
Like I said, you've already started off as one of the reasons why I think this is a bad show. Like you've got a host that, I don't know whether it's excitement, maybe it's a difficulty in translation, because it's just, like I said, I would put it more down to the fact that she's probably excited and hyped to be out there and to be on that stage and be the host, even though, like, for a host, we don't even see her on night two. She's on night one, and that's it. And it's kind of like, that's a bit lackluster, but like, I'll just put it down to excitement, and the reason why she just probably was talking at 100 miles an hour and just didn't want to slow it down a bit. I don't know. Like, look, I've been known to do that. I can talk really fast when I'm excited, and I end up having to repeat myself at like a snail's pace because people don't get me sometimes. But yeah, like I said, for the host, one spot, and they're not even there the second night.
Yeah, a bit of a strange one for me. The thing is, I just wanted to say that she's someone that must be used to being in front of thousands and thousands of people. She's a huge, music star. So I mean, like, I imagine that this isn't the first time, but so, like you say, perhaps being in front of a WWE crowd, obviously a big WWE fan, I suppose, like you say, perhaps we should give the benefit of the doubt on that, because obviously, excitement I can't imagine how I would feel being in front of that many people and that sort of experience. So, it can happen to all of us, but still, it was a bit of a strange opening for SummerSlam in my personal opinion. But hey,
I mean, just to add on though, I thought the stage, the Titantron package, I saw the setup. I thought it was great the way it was kind of presented as that sort of that tiered aspect bringing forward. I was like, wow, this actually kind of is pretty cool and a pretty new way to present it. I thought it looked really good. I know a lot of people critiqued it and called it boring and unimaginative, and I was like, that's probably the most imaginative one we've had for a while.
I quite like the staging and the setup of everything for MetLife. I thought that everything looked special, and the way they did everything with the screens and stuff, I thought it was pretty cool. We're going to the opening match then. Obviously, Roman Reigns and Jey Uso defeating Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed, the Tribal Thief. Like the new nickname. It was a decent tag team match between these guys, I thought, overall. The heels getting quite a bit of an advantage. Obviously, Roman eventually having to make the save for Jey Uso to not eat the spear from Braun Breaker. So Roman was laying and suffering a little bit towards the end of that match. But Braun Breaker was thrown out of the ring by Jey Uso, and eventually Jey Uso got his big splash on Bronson Reed for the pinfall victory. I was surprised to see Jey pick up the win for the team in this match, to be honest. The fact that it was Roman's first match back, but at the same time, it plays into family, shows that Roman did have Jey Uso's back, and obviously it can save Roman Reigns versus Braun Breaker for another day. Yeah,
I mean, I thought this was just an okay, slightly above average tag team match. I had a couple of qualms with just in general, like there's a moment where Jay's trying to get the hot tag, and he, for some reason, instead of running straight to Roman, he has to go round in a loop just so they can catch him, and it was like almost like the ring chemistry wasn't quite there. I thought Braun doing some really strange character work in ring, just like acting out like he never normally does. I don't know whether this is they're trying to develop his character or what, but it may be just the case it was something new. Bronson Reed announcing Tsunami before he does it. It's just this dumb stuff. No one does that, man. No one tells you what their next move is going to be. Oh, let me give you the advantage and shout what I'm about to do. It's stupid. Like I said, it's okay. I just thought this was like slightly above average. I think like the decision was right, but I think that just in general, this was above average for me.
I guess as well now, the fact that Bronson Reed had taken Roman Reigns' shoes on Raw is a factor that they can build to that singles match as well in the near future also. So I'm guessing the fact that Roman's probably going to have to work his way to Seth over the next few months. And it feels, if I'm going to be honest, it's going to burst the NXT bubble here, but a Roman Reigns-Seth Mania match potentially. Have yourself work through Bronson Reed, get yourself through Bron Breakker, probably get yourself to Seth. Yeah, I know. We'll
Rumble, maybe. Mania, no.
Wait and see. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I mean, obviously, Jey's picking up the win still. And I think Jey, it's good for him. He needed a big victory. He's had a bit of a difficult time since becoming world champion, obviously dropping the title back to Gunther. Obviously, not involved in a championship match here at SummerSlam. And obviously, he's involved with Roman's return. Probably would have been seen as someone that would have not been involved in the decision. So the fact he picked up the win is good for him.
Yeah, like I said, just good for Jey in general, just to get back on, just to pick up the win. But like you said, I think the long-term story there is Roman obviously clearly isn't finished with them, and obviously because we've at the time of recording, obviously Raw's happened, we kind of know that they're not all done. So yeah, there is another story to play this out somewhere down the line.
Absolutely, and that's where you can fill me in, because unfortunately I've not seen Raw, so you have to fill me in where we need to on this little spot.
It's pretty much the same as what has always happened. He'll stand tall, and Bronson Reed steals another pair of Roman's trainers. Essentially, is what happened. Yeah, exactly. I think so. Basically, Seth has a title match with LA Knight. It all goes to pot, and Bronson Reed and Cody. Seth is attacked by a Punk. The match ends in a no contest or a disqualification. Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker come down, carry on the feud. Roman comes out to try and make the save. They all end up on their asses, and yeah, like I said, Bronson steals another pair of Roman's trainers.
I love it. We know we're getting our trainer shopping in future. Then it'll be Bronson Reed's collection probably very soon. Star rating then for the opening tag team match.
2.5.
I went with a 3. For me, that's my kind of above average TV rating. Like 6 out of 10. I thought it was probably on my level. It was a bit long for my liking, I suppose, if I'm going to be brutal.
Fair enough.
We have brand new women's tag team champions in Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair defeating Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. We said with the first match, family making the save. Obviously, miscommunication with the friends in the second match here. Obviously, Alexa Bliss hitting Charlotte Flair. There was a moment there when it looked like Bliss was going to hit the Sister Abigail DDT on Roxanne Perez. Charlotte Flair in the background looks like she's going to go for Bliss in revenge, but instead, the camera work is done very, very well. She takes out Raquel Rodriguez for Bliss to hit that Sister Abigail DDT on Roxanne and pick up the victory. Kind of saw this one coming. I think it was the right move as well for Bliss and Flair. Got a good pop as well. Fans felt very invested in this match, very into the idea of Bliss and Flair as a tandem. Obviously for Perez and Raquel, in the meantime, it's time for them to dust off, regroup, and they'll hopefully have them tag team titles back by the time Liv Morgan returns.
Yeah, my only issue with this really was that they did 2 tag matches right in a row, and you've got Jey and Roman doing tope suicidos and dives through ropes and dives over the ropes and whatever, and you then go and put a women's tag team match next where they're not going to do all that high risk stuff. So I kind of felt that they suffered because of the match order, and this, which is again another reason why Triple H failed this weekend. But otherwise, yeah, I thought it was an okay match. It was the right decision. It's just, again, it's hard to follow the men's match when they're doing a lot more high risk stuff, and then you go and have the women do it. And like, don't get me wrong, people were interested in the Charlotte Flair Alexa Bliss relationship. But is that enough to, do you know what I mean, save that match? I mean, I gave this a 2.5 star, the same as the first match. The only thing I was surprised was that Roxanne took the pin in this.
Yeah, I was surprised with Roxanne taking the pin. As I said before, I would have liked something just to show Raquel had been the one that had been weaker of the two, because then that way she can't blame Roxanne. But we'll
They
have to
get
wait
a
and see.
they get a rematch on Raw, and again Roxanne takes the pin as well.
There you are. There you are. Be interesting to see. Judgment Day will need to regroup in the meantime. But for Bliss and Flair, it's a fresh division for the women's tag team division going forward. It gets some new teams back in the mix once again. So looking forward to seeing perhaps maybe some matches with the likes of Kabuki Warriors, for example, could be fun.
Yeah.
Maybe the Secret Harvest. So yeah, there's some matches that they can have in the meantime to keep that division fresh.
Yeah, definitely.
Sami Zayn defeating Karrion Kross on night one. Shaking head already. I felt this was inevitable. Look, I don't think this is the most glamorous, exciting match in the world. I thought the match was quite short as well. But obviously, Karrion Kross looking to get Sami to go to the bad side. Obviously, Scarlett passing that pipe over and Sami refusing it. And obviously, in the end, Sami hitting that haluva kick as well to pick up the victory. Kross having to accept that this is the end, and it looks like it's not just going to be the end of the feud with Sami, but potentially his WWE run, with rumors suggesting that the contract is done at the end of this week.
Yeah, it's a shame. I mean, obviously, in the last sort of 24 hours, it's come out that, his contract is supposed to be up by the end of the week. This was dumb. No video package for what is essentially a rubber match, which I thought was a bit sort of like, when you can't even be bothered with the guy. It shows how much Triple H thinks of this guy. Like, there is a segment on, because they're ending the post press conference. They said just do the post panel table where Triple H can be asked questions by the panel and not worried about being asked questions about bringing Brock Lesnar back. And there's a point where the crowd are chanting, "We want Kross," and he goes, "Oh yeah, you got Brock," trying to pass it off. And it just shows, again, I've lost respect for the guy, because he's known for months now that what the crit people want, they want Karrion Kross. And there's still time for him to re-sign, but in general, this could have actually been something really good for Sami. Like, I think if you'd have had Sami lose this, force him to almost team with Kross, you could have built a relationship between Kross and Sami where Kross almost starts feeling like Sami is something, Sami means something to him. Inevitably, where Sami would end up turning on Kross, and we get Kross as a face. Do you know what I mean? And look, they dropped the ball with it. There's not really much else I can say for it. It's a shame, man. I hope he goes on to bigger and better things. The only problem is that if he does leave, he goes to TNA. Probably within the next 12 to 24 months, they're going to be owned by WWE again, and he's probably going to be in the same position.
I hope not for his sakes. But yeah, obviously there is something that we've speculated in the past. The thing I would say is that I never felt in doubt of this result. I felt Sami was always going to win. I felt it was the right decision that he won as well, because although it could be quite fun to see him go on the bad side, I don't think it's the right time for Sami to have that seed of doubt. I think Kross is right. I think the bad guy is in there, but I think it needs to come out the moment when Sami realizes he cannot win a world title without doing a dirty deed, almost like John Cena with his 17th world title. And I still proclaim, I think WrestleMania is the right time and place for that. But obviously, going on to Karrion Kross and the stuff you mentioned, I haven't seen the press conference clip. I know you sent it to me, but at the time was trying to eagerly avoid any form of spoilers whatsoever for SummerSlam, so I didn't watch it at the time, but was aware that of the "We want Kross," but it said Brock instead. Yeah, that's not fun. It's not good. Obviously, Kross has put in the hard work. He's got himself over. You'd like to think he'd get rewarded for that. Obviously, with R-Truth being released and fans hijacking shows for a few weeks, Truth got brought back. The only thing that makes me wonder, though, if they will not do this twice, is because of the fact that people are not still calling for R-Truth. He's got a job, so people are happy, but they're not calling for him on TV. He's not been on TV for a number of weeks. So, there will be that thing of like, well, hang on, I brought him back, but you're not still cheering for the guy. So I do worry if that's going to be something that goes against Kross. If fans had still done the same with Truth, where they're calling for him week on week when he's not on TV, that would probably give an indicator they could do the same for Kross. But people power, I'm not sure will succeed this time.
No, and I think with this one, because I think I saw this off of like Wrestle Talk or Cultaholic, one of the two, maybe even What Culture Wrestling. They were saying that with Truth, it's fine, but with this one, if they bow to peer pressure and bring him back, and then do nothing with him, they're just going to be in the same spot a couple of years from now when his contract's ultimately up. So it's either bite the bullet, take the fall for it now, let him go, or just, do you know what I mean? That we can end up paying this guy for another year, 2 years, and still do nothing with him. And obviously, he's done nothing of any sustenance since coming back. He's had two Mania matches and a SummerSlam match since the guy's come back. Not very little else. They haven't given him no creative to work with. They gave him a BS faction that honestly they never did anything with anyway. And yeah, it's just, look, I just feel sorry for the guy, but I think that if he goes to TNA where he's probably got a little bit more creative freedom, he will tear it up again.
I mean, it's a good time to go to a TNA if there ever was one. They've just done the UBS Arena, which was the highest attendance I think that TNA have done in a very long time on US soil. And
draw as well.
Yeah, I think Cross, with the fact that he's over as well, I think would really work in his benefit. But hey, I'd still like him to re-sign. I still think there's stuff to work with. LA Knight, for example, when people were calling for him, it never died down, and they took their time to give him the opportunities. It took him a year to win a US title. So with Cross, there is the possibilities of getting to that level if he was to resign. It's just going to take time. And I mean, with Cross as well, he has been a responsible figure of so many heel turns in WWE that perhaps people don't really think about now. Drew McIntyre being one of them, Shinsuke Nakamura, The New Day. I could go on with a few more. Cross was the feud and the turning point for a lot of those people. So Sami Zayn is just the latest one. Just Cross may not be around to have the satisfaction when Sami actually does do the turn. But I think Sami should be going for Seth Rollins at some point in this next autumn to winter season. I think that would be a good time to do that. I think Sami should fail. I think he perhaps should have a win of the Royal Rumble. And I think if he gets another crack then at a world title, that should be the moment that perhaps maybe he realizes, hang on, I need to make sure I don't lose again, and that way I'll do what it takes to get the job done. So that's how I want to see it booked, but we'll have to wait and see where we further down the line. But to give a star rating for this match, didn't do too much for me, this one, 2.25.
2 1/4. Was it? Yeah, 2 1/4 I gave it as well.
Yeah, was just not hitting the right places. This one didn't hit the right places for me either, to be honest. Tiffany Stratton, Jade Cargill. I think mainly, again, time was the factor here. I don't know, just something didn't connect. But obviously, Jade Cargill hit her jaded over, sort of swung it when going for the pinfall. So it just everyone ended up in the ropes. And Tiffany eventually getting her moonsault to pick up the victory. I was really surprised that they didn't really want to carry the momentum for a Queen of the Ring winner for a second year in the row, just to give that rub then to really sort of solidify. Winning that can probably get you to the stepping stone to win a championship. But I guess they feel there's more mileage still in Tiffany Stratton's WWE Women's Championship run. Yeah,
she's been champion for the longest time as well now. She's had so many title defenses that you almost feel she's in that echelon of being able to lose that title. But look, this match was okay. I think I've worked out what the problem is with Jade Cargill, and what a lot of people are ripping on her for is her fluidity. She doesn't move like, for example, she doesn't move like running water. Like, do you know what I mean? If you see water going down, it's fluid. It just takes the shape, whatever. She seems clunky in places, almost like she's having to go around obstacles half the time. And there's times in this where even Tiffany struggles to be, like, I don't even know, on the same page as Jade. Like, there's just times where it just seems clunky. There's a dodgy looking swanton in there as well, where it almost looks like Tiffany doesn't get the rotation until like the very last second. But it was okay. I'm not going to complain. I think it's probably one of Jade's best matches to date, which means I suppose is a plus. So, do you know what I mean? It just proves that she's getting better, but she's still definitely not ready for that title scene. She needs to go down to the mid card scene. She needs to dominate some of the shorter women, that like a Candice LeRae, Zelina Vega, whoever. But she needs to get there before she even thinks about a world title.
Kind of feel like you're on the right track. I feel that obviously Julia right now is the current champion for the United States Championship holder at the moment. So it feels like at the moment that perhaps Jade could be the following champion after this, but I wouldn't see Julia having a short run as champion. So I have to wait and see. I don't know. Is it time for a WWE draft? Do we need to shake some things up? Should Jade go to Raw?
Oh, definitely. They need to do something. Because, the problem I have is that you're going to have Seth Rollins. I can't see him losing that title now until Mania. That's like 8 months as Seth as champion again. And he had such a long run the first time. And I'm like, maybe if we give him fresh opponents, it'll be something different. I don't know. But they need to do something.
They do indeed. We'll come on to Seth very, very shortly. But before we do, one of my favourite matches of the weekend. Can't believe I'm going to say that.
We didn't actually give a match rating for the last one.
Did we not? We should go back to that and do that then.
2.5, I gave it.
That's fair. 2.25 again. It still didn't do too much for me.
Fair.
But yeah, I'll be giving a high rating for this match. Jelly Roll, what a performance. I tell you what, look, if you were expecting a Will Ospreay 5-star classic, yeah, all right, you're not going to get what you're expecting. But this is a celebrity wrestler inserted. And I've got to say, I think done right, because obviously the people around Jelly Roll made him look good, but I still think he played his part in everything he did as well. He looked good at the moves he was delivering. He made everything feel a very believable match, and I think that's something that you can't ask much more really from a performer when they go in there for the first time, not their full-time shtick. I love, by the way, him sort of singing voices for Randy Orton coming to the ring as well. I think that's a great way to hype the crowd up. Apparently he's actually offered to do a full-time version of Randy Orton's theme song as well, which is quite cool as well. But do you know what's the top of everything else of? There was the big table spot, Logan Paul jumping off with the prime bottles as well to take Jelly Roll through the table on the outside. I thought that was a really cool spot. Jelly Roll, of course, was going to be carried to the back, but of course gets himself back involved in the match.
He milks this so badly.
He does, but you know what? I loved it. I thought,
so good.
It's brilliant. It was really well done. But the thing I love most of all, every celebrity match, what usually happens, celebrity wins and celebrity beats WWE superstar. Not here. Jelly Roll not only lost, he took the pinfall. Like I said, it was a believable match for that. Took another one of those claymores, and he took obviously some sort of form of frog splash from Logan Paul for the top rope for the victory. So, yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, look, I can't argue with that. I think this was the best match of the night. I think that when you've got Jelly Roll tagging himself in over Randy because he wants to get his hands on Logan and whoever, props to the guy. Look, I said this in the predictions that look, this guy knows what it means. He's going to do his utmost best, and I think he delivered on all factors. The guy lost 230 pounds to do this. That's insane. Like, I wish I could lose 2.3 pounds, let alone 230 pounds. But yeah, look, nothing but respect. Jelly trying to get the hot tag was great. Logan, I said the splash off the top with the Ray-Ban so he could record and get another viral moment. The Drew and Logan winning was just the right decision. Like a lot of people were expecting Jelly Roll to win this year. He is the celebrity, you're right. But yeah, I respect the fit, like the winners. And you know what? I tell you what, I really like Logan and Drew as a team. I think they're good. They've got so much chemistry together that I can see these being a thing going forward.
It'll be interesting to see the dynamic now that SummerSlam's finished, if they'll continue to do that as something that there'll be perhaps maybe a power trip of some description on SmackDown, perhaps to try and take out Cody next, because you would imagine obviously Cody's free looking for challengers after SummerSlam. Perhaps that's the Drew spot or the Logan spot after this. So it'll be fascinating to see what happens next. And like I say, yeah, massive props. Obviously, Randy Orton, very good at reading the crowd and doing these bits and bobs. You know, just a legend in himself. And like I say again, Jelly Roll, what a performance. And hey, look, losing 230 pounds is not an easy feat. I mean, the last time I did that, I was in a casino.
I know that feeling too.
Absolutely. Star rating for the match.
3 stars. Like I said, it's not the greatest match in the world, but it's entertaining, and look, it's the perfect match of the night. Like, everything is right with this match.
3.25 from me. Yeah, I think I'm slightly more generous on the ratings than you, but yeah, I think for me, satisfactory is what I'd say from this one. Yeah. But my match of the night was this one. CM Punk defeating Gunther to win the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought this was, it felt like a nice throwback. The in-ring psychology I was expecting from these two didn't disappoint. All the chops and the slaps on CM Punk's chest, obviously Punk trying to avoid it, was really good. Gunther, though, again, constantly being the person that's the own thorn in his own side when it comes to the big show matches, seems to be always cost himself every time, gloating on the table, being pulled by CM Punk to go face first down there and obviously busting himself open in the process as well. Back in ring, obviously CM Punk hitting that GTS, and obviously you see a groggy Gunther not hitting the ground so that Punk could hit it a second time and picked up the victory. And I've got to say, I was convinced that Punk was going to be cost this opportunity before the bell would ring. So the fact that CM Punk had his magic moment in front of fans, winning a world title for the whole of MetLife to rejoice, I thought actually felt like a special moment for the 5 minutes we had it.
Yeah, just to talk about Punk winning in general, I think it was a great decision to make. Otherwise, I thought this match was boring.
Wow, okay.
And for 90% of it, it's just Gunther chopping him and big booting him. And I'm like, when you put him in the ring with someone like Ilya Dragunov or a Pete Dunne, someone who like has some, I think it's personally just the wrestling styles. Maybe there's something to do with Punk's age. The fact that he's obviously getting on a bit. He's maybe lost a step or two. He's not as quick as he used to be. But it just felt like Gunther was just bullying him for 90% of this match. Like every time Punk got up, chop, 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 chop. I was so bored of Gunther chops by the end of this match. I'm like, do something else. He didn't even do a suplex. Nothing. They literally, this was all punches and kicks. No, like the occasional submission hold, which for someone like CM Punk who fails to set up a sharpshooter, like I don't understand how you get the sharpshooter wrong. It's very simple to do, but even if you didn't struggle with it. But yeah, I was just bored. Like every time Punk would make a comeback, big boot to the face and he's down. Chop, 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 chop. Punk makes a comeback, big boot to the face. Chop, 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 chop. That's it for 90% of the match. Until, like you said, Gunther standing on the table and Punk drops him and we get some blood and then Gunther's, blinded by the red mist of whatever. I was just bored. Honestly, I don't like to say that about a Gunther or a CM Punk match. Like, I was bored, man. I gave this 2 3/4.
Wow.
Because I think the decision made it good for me was the fact that Punk won. I was just bored. I'm sorry, how many times can I sit and watch Gunther chop one man and just bored? Didn't do a suplex. Didn't do nothing. No grapple moves. People are acting like this is the greatest match of the year. It's not. They don't do a suplex, for God's sake. There's no wrestling. It's chops, big boots, and rest holds. That's it. This is the most boring match I've seen.
I feel like you need a suplex in your matches for satisfaction there. It sounds like there was
something. I need variation, man. Come on. Like, I'm not being funny, but I've seen Kai and Ty and the Oddities have a more entertaining match. Bruv, at least with Kai and Ty and the Oddities, right? They made me laugh. I was just bored. Like, at least like you get suplexes and Kai and Ty are willing to do some crazy stuff, but chop, 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 chop. CM Punk makes a comeback, big boot, chop, 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 chop. That's it. It's boring, man. So boring.
I don't know. I got into the ring psychology. I
don't want to say it's a bad match, but it's CM Punk getting his ass handed to him for 90% of the time, and then he gets to come back and win. Where's the wrestling in there, man? I'm just bored. Fair
enough. From my perspective, I felt there was a story to being told. I felt like CM Punk, obviously, like you said, he's someone that was going to give his all.
The story being told, Punk was getting his ass handed to him for 90% of the match.
Absolutely, and he managed to come back. And of course, that Gunther is the reason that usually plays into his own downfall, and that's what protects the ring general on most occasions. But Punk, for me, I I'm sorry. I felt this was quite old school, and that was one of the reasons I kind of nostalgically quite liked it. I've gone 3.5-star rating. I was surprised Punk picked up the victory, and I appreciate the magical moment. And I think for that reason, I liked it that little bit more. But
I respect that you gave it 3.5, because I'm seeing people out there giving this like 4.5, 4.75, 5 stars, and I'm like, where? Yes, sure, there's some great psychology to it. Where's the wrestling? Because I didn't see a single wrestling move apart from a GTS, that 2 GTSs at the end. Otherwise, and then maybe a submission, like a Boston Crab or a sharpshooter or do you know what I mean, a sleeper hold. But there's nothing of any substance in this match.
Fair. I respect your opinion.
It might be wrong, but you respect it.
I respect it. No, I don't fully agree, but I respect it, and that's and I like that we have a different opinion on it. We can't always have the same opinion on this stuff. Do you know what I mean?
I can't make you laugh about something, surely.
I tell you what, I've had a few giggles during this. It's been quite good, but there was no laughing matter though. After CM Punk won the World Heavyweight Championship, he got 5 minutes before Seth Rollins' music hit, and the crowd went wild. They were they all felt it, and obviously CM Punk and Paul Heyman came out. Seth Rollins was on crutches coming down, and Heyman had the briefcase, and they gave the indication almost of like, I'm hurt. When I'm able to, I'm going to cash in and take that title off of you. You are not going to be World Heavyweight Champion. And I've got to say, for everyone that's been saying that they felt like this is a work, and we even suggested on the prediction show as well, if Seth is there and he's going to cash in, he's walking away as champion. We weren't fully sure that this was legit either, because of Heyman saying he's out for a long time. It's an extended time. Oh, but he's got till next June to cash in. It was like, he's cashing in soon. He's not as bad as his first fitted, maybe the whole thing was just a ruse from the start. And it turned out it was a ruse. And I've got to say, though, in the way that Seth was walking out and then stopped and then threw the crutches to the side, I loved that little moment, because I was just like, it's just that panto kind of feeling. Do you know what I mean? Like where you're doing theatre at its best, and it's just that moment where you can just do what's a signal that everyone in the arena or stadium, everyone at home in the same time can go, he's fine, he's cashing in. It's why either you are sitting there thinking, oh my God, I didn't realise, or oh my God, I was right. It's satisfaction all round. The fact that he just threw them crutches down to the side, turned round, the boots off, cashing in on that moment. I actually really enjoyed the cash in. And obviously, it doesn't take long for Seth to hit a curb stomp and win the World Heavyweight Championship. And yes, I think it's something, and this is where I think Money in the Bank can be argued that after 20 years, it's, I don't want to say it's running its course, but it's running out of creative ways to do a cash in. But I still think that this was still well done, even if it's a type of cash in we've seen many times before.
Yeah, no, I think that my problem with this is like, obviously after that, watching the whole weekend and just having the ending tonight too. I think the ending tonight too has kind of soured my feelings towards the ending of night one a bit more, because yes, it is lazy booking. It's predictable booking, because a lot of people, like you and me weren't the only ones, but loads of people were saying he's going to cash in. I'm sure there was a dirt sheet that came out and went, the original plan was Seth was going to cash in at SummerSlam.
Yeah, it was.
And they still do it. And I'm like, it's lazy. And then this is why I think the ultimate goal is going to be Punk versus Seth, night 2, WrestleMania. Punk is destined to win that title. As much as I do really want to see Punk win night 2 main event of a WrestleMania, does he need the rub? Surely would have made sense for, like, I'd have been all for Seth failing the cash in, Punk carrying the title until Mania, and Seth going over at Mania. And that's what ideally, because again, look, Punk is like 50 something years old, however old he is. I don't know. Apologies if he's not 50 years old. He's getting there though. He's like 40 something. Does he need going over on the night 2 of WrestleMania, or does Seth Rollins? And that's ultimately what I'm thinking here. Don't get me wrong. I'm if it happens and Punk goes over night 2, I'll be ecstatic. I'll be one of the happiest people in the world. But obviously, again, soured from night 2 where we've got John Cena versus Brock Lesnar coming up. Does John Cena need to give Brock Lesnar the rub? Does John Cena need to put Brock Lesnar over? Well, John Cena's leaving and he's not putting over the younger talents like Bron Breakker or Bronson Reed or, do you know what I mean, Obafemi, whoever's coming up or whoever's going for it, Ethan Page, whatever. Do we need to see a close to retirement CM Punk going over in night 2 of WrestleMania?
We probably don't. I would just say that it would be a really satisfying and gratifying way for Punk. Obviously, like he's had a main event, but then to go in and win one as well and have him over winning the title, that would just be like, this is you had your first main event, which was special in itself, but this is the true main event WrestleMania moment. I think that would be just something special. But this is where now I start to disagree with everything we've predicted and your strong opinion that you had, and I was like, I think you're right, but actually now I'm going to sit and go, I'm going to go different, because I don't see how Seth versus Punk now can be delayed 8 months to WrestleMania, unless Punk is put on the shelf and injured for 4 months and wins the Rumble. I don't see how that.
It's called a draft split. You split the two of them up. Everyone thinks Sammy's going to win the Rumble. Punk wins Rumble, challenges Seth. Sammy wins Chamber.
I like it.
Because everyone's expecting Sammy to win because it's in Saudi Arabia. If Sammy doesn't win and Punk wins, won't get the desired pop that would probably get for a Saudi Arabian crowd, but you will know that you're going to get Seth versus Punk at WrestleMania, and then you give Sammy the opportunity to go into Chamber and prove himself even more. Like, if you make Sammy beat Iron Man at a Rumble and he loses, and yet he's standing, then like he's earned his right to go into the Chamber and he wins at Chamber, I think that is a much better story for Sami Zayn to win the title.
I mean, it would be a different way of going, and obviously wouldn't play into what everyone says the most obvious predictions going, that Sammy wins the Rumble next year because it's in Saudi. The thing is, Crown Jewel is in Australia, so that's going to be interesting. But the Crown Jewel Championship, so there is a path to keep Seth away from Punk for a while. If I had to predict and use the crystal ball, you could do Seth versus Punk in Paris. That seems like the most likely, obvious way to go. But to get more matches, get more people on the card, wouldn't it be more interesting to have Seth, Bronson, and Braun against Roman, Jay, and Punk in a 6-man tag team match in Paris? Then you can do the Crown Jewel Championship, which can be currently Seth versus Cody again, which actually that's pretty cool. That's exciting to think about that. Then you get to Survivor Series, which of course, I mean, you've got War Games. You know, you can do that, and Punk and Seth can be on opposite sides. There's Saturday night's main event, and then there's the Rumble. So one of those two could be the place where I think Rollins and Punk finally have that match and blow off. That's where I see it coming. Because I said earlier on, I think we could get Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania next year, because Roman will go through Bronson, then he'll get through Braun, and then he'll have to find a way to get to Seth. And we still had the singles match of Roman versus Seth at WrestleMania. But I still would call that a night 1 main event if you ask me, because do you know what I would have for night 2's main event? I'd have Cody versus Punk. That's what I would do.
That's a very brave prediction. Like, the problem is that Cody and Punk don't have the history that Seth does, and this is why I think they can creatively get around avoiding that match until Mania, because they still haven't had that one-on-one singles match definitively. And if there's a title involved, and I think what I'd like to see them do as well is in the draft, swap the champions over but keep the titles. So Cody then gets the World Heavyweight, Seth gets the WWE Championship, and look, CM Punk with the WWE Championship just makes all the sense in the world.
I'm not sure I want the championships to swap. I used to my spine tingled when I heard that. I used to think of the days where we used to swap titles backstage. It wasn't my bag, but I get your point of view.
Charlotte, what was it? Charlotte Rio or whoever it was. Charlotte Becky. Yeah. You know, all that moments.
Yes, got to see that match live. That was fun. Anyway, night 1, we'll quickly go through our little things that we like to do. OMG moment of the night for night 1. It's got to be Seth, surely.
No, honestly, I went with Jelly. I was just Jelly Roll losing, I think, was the bigger shock to me, because Seth was predictable. I thought Jelly Roll would win because it's Jelly Roll, but for my OMG moment, I put Jelly Roll losing.
Fair play to that one. Match of the night for you, I believe, was Jelly Roll.
Yeah, it is Jelly Roll. It should really be Punk versus Gunther, but it's Jelly Roll, Randy Orton against Drew Logan Paul.
It was Punk versus Gunther for me. Entrance of the night.
Flair and Bliss. I think those two coming out got the right reaction from the crowd that they wanted.
I like that. So I was going to go with Punk, but I've been blowing the trumpet of Seth's entrance for the last 10 minutes, so Seth's going to get that one for me. MVP of the night.
Jelly Roll, 100%. The guy put in so much effort to put in like a killer performance for someone who doesn't wrestle. Jelly Roll.
Jelly Roll for me as well. Final rating out of 10, night one.
4.
Interesting. I'm going to go with a 6.5. The 0.5 is key because I feel it's better than a 6, but it's not quite the average score I would give of a 7.
I didn't rate anything higher than a 3, so for me that's kind of poor. And this is meant to be SummerSlam. Like I said, some of the decisions for me were wrong. Some of the booking was lazy. So yeah, I went with 4.
Night 2. Let's go for it then. Naomi defeating Rhea Ripley and Io Sky to retain the Women's World Championship. Loved Naomi's entrance of her dad playing guitar. Thought that was really, really fun. And obviously it looked like Rhea was finally going to get the pin on Io Sky. Obviously doing the riptide from the second rope. But of course Naomi actually getting a roll-up and hooking the tights of Rhea Ripley, which of course is legal in a triple threat match. Your thoughts of the opening? I thought this was a fun match between the three ladies.
They gave Naomi some shine at the start to let her get her stick in. Once Naomi kind of dropped out, we then got the chemistry that is Rhea and Io. Naomi grew into this match because she felt very third wheel to start with, but I thought as it progressed, she worked herself in well with the other two. The other two, the chemistry is unreal, and they can, do you know what I mean? They can put bums in seats all day long. But yeah, Naomi grew into this one for me.
Absolutely, and like you said, the chemistry Rhea and Io have, and there's some great spots there. You know, I'm thinking about on the floor with going through the ropes to dive onto the floor, and then the power bomb done onto Naomi as well was such a cool looking spot as well. So yeah, there was some fun chemistry moments in this match between the three ladies. It was not as strong as the triple threat match that opened night 2 of WrestleMania, which of course had Bianca Belair, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky. It was still probably one of my favorite matches of the year, but this still was a fun one, and obviously. Probably more interesting is the fallout. Where does it go next? We know Naomi will take on Stephanie Vaquer. Of course, I'm assuming it's a clash in Paris after Vaquer won the Battle Royal at Evolution. So does Naomi get through Stephanie Vaquer as well?
Yeah, well, she has to. Can't, as much as I really want Vaquer to win, second title defense, can't see her giving that up. But yeah, I definitely see that being the case.
It'd be interesting. I think Naomi's going to need some help if she's going to get that one this time around, because this time in this match she kind of found a lucky way to get through. But Rhea versus Io, I'm predicting they do this one more time. Crown Jewel, like I mentioned earlier on, is in Australia. I think that's where Rhea finally gets her pin over Io Sky, and these two can tear the house down again.
Nope, WrestleMania again. That's where Rhea's going to finally beat Io and win the title off of Io. There's a story there. You're going to do it on the biggest stage. Rhea has never beaten Io. It has to be for a title. They've even said, I think there's a moment on Raw where Rhea says to Io, "Go and win that title back, so I can finally beat you and take it off of you." So then I don't think they're going to do this for a while.
Not for a while. Let's see how it does play out. In the meantime, star rating though for the women's triple threat.
4.25. Like you said, it's not as good as the Mania opening match, but this was still really good. 4.25 for me.
Wow, very high rating. I've gone for a 3.5. Really enjoyed it though. Thought it was good.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
TLC. Oh my god, all the crazy spots. All I just remember is a message in WhatsApp just went TLC match. Like it was like mind blowing.
Fire emojis. Look, I could sit here and reel off and spend the next 10 minutes talking about how all these spots were amazing. My god, what a fun match. So insane. My only one nitpick, and just because I think this was more dangerous than it was, Candice LeRae taking the bump off the ladder. The ladder was pre-cut, so when she went through it, the ladder didn't essentially take any cushion. She just went straight through it and basically hit the mat from 20 feet up in the ring. And I think that was pretty dangerous, and they shouldn't have pre-cut the ladder. Otherwise, everything else, the Spanish fly off the top rope onto
Dawkins,
not
wasn't
Ford, Dawkins, through the table. Oh my God, just great. Look, when you've got the Dudleys and the Hardys in attendance, you want to pay homage to these guys. And like I said, you got Candice B-Fab and who was the other one? Nikki Cross, sorry.
As well.
And you're almost like homage to like Spike Dudley, Lita, and Rhino. Do you know what I mean? I thought this was great, man. I can't give this enough praise that this was just so insane.
It was an insane match. Obviously, the quadruple table spots, like you mentioned there, from Johnny Gargano, the DDT, from Loomis with a leg drop off the top rope, to then seeing Phoenix do the frog splash. And like you say, that moment there, obviously the Spanish fly axiom and Dawkins was something special. Just the way the pace that Nathan Frazier runs up the ladder as well is just incredible. Ciampa as well, holding onto the title, sort of flipping himself upside down.
God, that was so good. That was so good.
Such magic done, and like everything was so crisp the way it was all done. Throughout the match. Obviously, Uncle Howdy got involved in it as well, didn't he? I think he took a sunset powerbomb from Andrade.
He did from Andrade, yeah.
Yes, I mean there were some great spots in the match, but obviously ultimately it was the White Six that were the ones to come out and retain the championships, which for me, I don't want to sound like a damn squid, but it wasn't the result I wanted, but I kind of get it. They've just won the titles. I'm going to say something controversial. I think this match is fantastic. I've got no flaws against it, but I do think that the TLC match on SmackDown earlier in the year was better than this.
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch the one from earlier on in the year. I mean, I gave this 5 stars. This is my match of the weekend. I could go and watch this again quite happily, anytime, anywhere, and I will love this no matter what. I think the fact that Andrade and Phoenix were the last two to be on the ladder before the Whites eliminated them, I think just ultimately gives them the edge to get a rematch and then win those tag team titles. So I do think Phoenix and Andrade will get them. But yeah, like I said, without sort of going back and watching the one from earlier on in the year, which, if I remember correctly, is a fantastic match. But I just love this anyway.
Oh, I mean, the thing is, it's silly to really compare the two matches, but obviously you see the TLC stipulation. One match has 3 teams, one has 6, and one match has half an hour to play with on SmackDown. The other one here has about 15 minutes to squeeze everything in. They do very well squeezing it all in here, but it did feel a bit rushed in places. But still, 4.5 star from me. I thought this was phenomenal.
Just tag team fanboy me, 5 stars.
Absolutely, indeed. Becky Lynch defeating Lyra Valkyria in the no DQ, no count-out stipulation match where Valkyria lost. She can't challenge for the women's IC title anymore. Bayley was the deciding factor. She had come to protect Lyra. She was attacking Becky Lynch, but of course, one attack too many, and of course, she missed. Becky attacked and hit Lyra. Lyra had been sort of handcuffed with like a tape wire for half of the match as well, which was quite interesting to see. The zip wire, which that was cool. They made it work. I was a little bit of a nitpick from me though. She kind of come loose from it at one point, which I thought looked more believable than when she actually lost it, because she did it under the ring and we didn't see it come off. So slight nitpick for that from me, but otherwise, thought weapons wise and just chemistry wise, these two have been great in ring together anyway. And I thought Becky and Lyra put a hell of a performance.
Dude, when you have to follow that TLC match, you're thinking this match is going to suffer. I think these two absolutely knocked it out of the park. I thought this was great. This was definitely their best match to date. The fact that Lyra pulls a crowbar and Becky's facial expressions when she pulls a crowbar out, I think is fantastic. I'm just sort of sifting through my notes here. There's so much good stuff, like even things like Becky snapping a kendo stick over Lyra just shows that, like, do you know what I mean? It just proves that the women are on the same level when it comes to this hardcore kind of stuff. And I think my one gripe is probably the fact that Bayley didn't get out quick enough to get the crowbar from Becky. Like, you could tell that Becky was holding that position for a couple of seconds too long. But otherwise, I think it ended up getting the right decision in the end. My biggest pain in the backside of this one was the crowd, because the crowd were trying to Mexican wave through the whole thing. And then, I thought that was so disrespectful, because they're putting on an absolute killer match. And I think it was Kyle from the I forget the podcast, the OTM podcast, he said that they were trying to do a Mexican wave during the whole of that match. And I'm like, what kind of disrespect is that? Because this was an absolute killer match. I gave this 4 1/4.
Yeah, I think it's a fair rating, to be fair. I went with 4. Again, I think the women were amazing. Obviously, you could imagine that they would have gone with Bayley and Becky Lynch, but I'm aware that it's Becky Lynch, Nikki Bella that's going to follow this. I guess going into Paris, which could be quite interesting. Bayley needs to turn heel for me on Lyra, but they could plant the seeds for Lyra to do the reverse here. Now the fact that Bayley cost her the match as well. So one thing's for sure, I think Lyra versus Bayley is a feud we're going to get on Raw for the next coming weeks and months.
Yeah, I think the Lyra heel turn more likely at this minute, just for the way that Lyra's been screwed over.
Absolutely, yeah. But a lot of fun. This was a really good match. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Steel cage match. Solo Sikoa got the job done. Retained the title over Jacob Fatu. For me, will say I think this was my least favorite match of the night by quite a distance. I felt like they put this match in the steel cage because they wanted Fatu to do the moonsault off the top of the cage, which they did, but it was after the match on the beatdown on JC Mateo and Tom Lower. I was hoping that we were going to get Tama Tonga return to help Solo win, but instead it was just Tula Tonga that made the difference in the end to get Solo out of the cage.
Definitely Tula Tonga.
Yeah, I think so. It was all right, I guess, but
underwhelming. The plus is that, is it really a plus that Solo kicked out of 2 moonsaults? No one's kicked out of the moonsault from Fatu yet, and yet he's done that. And it was pretty early on that he done the 2 moonsaults. Very short. Really didn't use the cage to the best of its abilities, other than, like you said, the moonsault off the top, which doesn't come until after. I don't understand why they couldn't have just done that during the match. Like, it's a simple case of, like, if you've got, say, for instance, one of like Talatonga or JC by the door, Jacob is then forced to go to the outside or forced to climb the cage. The other person then goes on the outside, so you'd have a spot where essentially Jacob's on the top of the cage and he can't go anywhere because one person's outside. You could have a JC get in the ring with Solo. He could have still done the moonsault, landed on both of them. And, do you know what I mean? And then obviously Talatonga would have done whatever he needed to do to stop Jacob from winning. You would have been a lot better way to do this, and they just failed in every way possible.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, it's a sticky wicket as well because, like, I mean, you still feel that Jacob Fatu needs to get a win over Solo Sikoa for this feud to end. But I mean, the thing that could be the saving grace is I don't think Jacob Fatu is that interested and that caring about a United States Championship. So if I was to fantasy book, I kind of would prefer Fatu to cost Solo the title, maybe for Jimmy Uso to win the title. So Jimmy's had the singles title. That way you can go and do what you need to with the mid-card title afterwards, whether it goes to, say, Carmelo Hayes afterwards or whoever they want to build up after that. And that way then you can just do the match between Fatu and Solo, and Fatu just simply wins and he can move up the ladder because Fatu at this point, that you know he's going to be one of the people that are going to be pushing towards the top in the next 6 to 12 months. And the longer he holds that championship, I think the more it becomes a bit of a burden because you need to find a way to get that title off of him.
Yeah, agreed.
Star rating for the match?
I gave it a 2. I thought it was a bang average match just inside a cage.
Yeah, I think I've gone with 2.5. It's kind of like the standard of where I've gone this weekend for the lowest matches. So, yeah, it was okay, I guess. But I really enjoyed Dominic Mysterio, AJ Styles. Look, if you're looking for an Eddie Guerrero tribute, this was your match. Styles coming up in a lowrider and wearing Eddie Guerrero themed style trunks as well from SummerSlam 2005, which just was fun. Dominic had been claiming it's his 20-year anniversary in the business, of course, was part of the custody of Dominic Mysterio ladder match between Rey and Eddie Guerrero back at SummerSlam 2005, as I've mentioned. And obviously, Dom actually used a bit of Eddie Guerrero himself to win the match. Obviously, did the WrestleMania 20 finish against Kurt Angle, had the boot loose, so when the calf crusher was on, he actually managed to escape. Actually managed to hit AJ Styles, though, with the boot in his own creative way to make a bit of a difference to the finish and hitting his frog splash for the win. But, we can sit there and say a lot of things that WWE does wrong or doesn't do right, or some people say with Triple H as well, but one of these biggest success stories has to be Dominic Mysterio. He's been handled to perfection throughout these last couple of years, and I think that he's someone I think is going to win the AAA Mega Championship, so his world title experience.
Yeah.
Dom is a year or two away from being a world heavyweight champion. We're going to be talking about this like 2027. Dom is going to have the title.
Yeah, guaranteed, 100%. That kid is destined to be a big star. Look, I love this. Like you said, the inspired ring gear. I'm sure Dom said on an interview that his gear is like a modified version of Ray's from the same match. So it was essentially Eddie versus Ray, but in 2025, like in terms of ring gear. The spot with the chair where Dom hits the ring, hits the floor with it, throws it at Styles, and Styles is like, oh, and he just puts it over his head and falls to the ground. Oh, it's such a great spot. It's so good. It's so entertaining. My one gripe, I think, is actually AJ Styles, and I think it's the fact that AJ, I've said it before, he needs to change his wrestling style because this high-flying stuff is not working for him anymore. He's not as, honestly, I think he's too jacked. That's what it is. He's too beefy. He's too muscular, and he just can't pull off some of this high-flying stuff that he used to do, and I think it's hindering him. Like, there'll be moments where, like, for instance, he'll go to do a springboard and he'll jump over and he'll land and roll, but then he'll slip on the roll, and it's like, I just think he needs to change his wrestling style. But otherwise, I thought this was a great match. Dominic Mysterio, yeah, 100% will be champion within 2 years. I can see it, man.
Feel it's there. Feel it's coming. He's getting all the experience in the world, and everything's going in the right way. And I enjoyed this match for what it was. I think it's going to get a 3-star rating for me, maybe a 3.25.
I gave it a 3.5. I thought it was entertaining as anything, and just so it was just fresh. And Dom's character work is great. Like, this is what kind of another reason why I'm glad the Judgment Day hasn't broken up, because if you put him on his own, what does he do? But within the Judgment Day, he's got people to bounce off in terms of character build. Like, his whole build with AJ, just fantastic. The under breath comments that he's been saying, and just seeing AJ in a comedic spot dressing up as a janitor and the doctor. It's so refreshing to see.
It really has been. I think it's a fun feud, and it looks like one that's going to continue moving forward as well. And obviously, to finish things up, that street fight, passing of the torch, John Cena turned babyface on SmackDown. It seemed like it did come a little bit out of nowhere, but do you know what? I actually will say props to WWE, props to John Cena, props to, I guess, the promo a week before from Cody, because it had the influence there for John Cena to come out and say, yeah, I should be the John Cena that everybody knows and shouldn't be this John Cena, because for a number of reasons. Number one, it ain't been working. It just has not worked the way it should have done. Number two, John Cena said it himself, like, I am supposed to be aligned with people who aren't here. Like, the Travis Scott thing has gone completely bad because apparently he's fallen out of the company, so he's not coming back anytime soon, certainly not during John Cena's retirement tour. The Rock was there for one night, got everything all changed. Everyone thought it was like the Rock and Soul connection, which was just not a thing. So basically, John Cena's more or less said, I've been living a lie, and I've had to just kind of push through and power on through with this for the last 4 or 5 months, and it's not gone to the way that people wanted or expected. So yeah, I'm going to be the John Cena everyone knows and loves. Yes, it's a bit of a, I suppose, a cheap way in some people's eyes to just switch it back, but at the same time, I'm willing to accept the fact that they just were willing to own it. They didn't do it the way that they wanted to. They didn't own it, so why not? Like, let's put it back to how it should be. I thought the match worked pretty well. There's some great spots all throughout. I love the kickouts with the AAs and the crossroads, which I figured maybe might be something you would not be such a fan of, but it had me gripped on the near falls, especially when, we had the avalanche, Cody does 3 in a row, 3 crossroads, and out. I was like, oh, there we go. And then the fact that Cena then does the one off the top rope as well, and it's just like Cody kicks out of that. You think, where is it going to end? But there is just that moment where, that table is brought in and John Cena ends up being the one going through it with the Cody cutter. And there's that Cody salute there. And that's obviously one final crossroads. And that's the final nail in the coffin. But there was a moment in the match where John Cena had the championship in hand and said, no, I'm not going to use that championship. And obviously that's probably the downfall of John Cena, because by going babyface, he's actually lost the gold. So for me, it ties everything up nicely. Cody and Cena, in my opinion, had a brilliant match. It was much superior to the WrestleMania one. I thought the weapons added a nice touch to it. I was fearful with Cena, if he'd gone in heel, how it would work and how it would play around, even as face, because of the fact that, weapons being involved in the match when the guy's supposed to be good again. Well, his natural belt shot is the thing that sort of carried that heel legacy for him. So it was an interesting ride. And if anything, Cody was the one that was like taking the advantage, especially when he had the turnbuckle pulled apart and obviously hitting Cena over with that and doing what he needed to do to win. So it's like Cody had the ruthless edge there to get to the next level. But I'm kind of glad no one turned in the end, because although I wanted Cody to do a double turn and be heel and Cena be face, Cena's not going to be there at some point in the near future. Obviously, they say December. Silk, I know you're predicting WrestleMania next year, but at some point in the near future, Cena's face is not going to be there. They're going to still need that face of the company, and they've passed that torch here to Cody Rhodes. You go through history. Andre the Giant passed it to Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 3. Hogan passed it to The Rock at WrestleMania 18. The Rock passed it to Cena at WrestleMania 29. And Cena has passed it to Cody here at SummerSlam in New Jersey. It just felt like the right move to me.
Yeah, the problem I think I have with it all, don't get me wrong, the match it's a great match. It's overbooked as hell, because I think, if I remember correctly, we had 6 Crossroads and 8 AAs in this match, and I'm like,
probably
1 or 2 maybe too many in this match. I think my biggest problem is the whole John Cena thing. The fact that you threw it away in a nothing promo on the build to this match, where you'd already done so much build of Cody being like, oh, this is a street fight, and putting so much aggression into it, and then John Cena's just like yeah, because I remember that my original point was that the build to it had actually been underwhelming as well. And then if you tie in the fact that he's gone, oh, I'm a babyface now, I don't care about John Cena for the rest of the year now. That's ultimately my problem with it, is that you turned him heel. He had intrigue and he had draw to him, because I wanted to see what they were going to do. He's a babyface now for the rest of the year. I don't care. Double the fact that he's going to be going up against Brock Lesnar, definitely don't care now. Sure, whatever show it'll be on, I'll probably end up watching it, but I don't care. You're not, he like, at least when he was a heel, you had the opportunity to put over some of these up and coming baby faces and build someone. And sure, putting over Cody is a passing of the torch moment, but I said, oh man, like I said, I don't care about John Cena's run now. John Cena's never been like, he might be like this 17-time world champion, might be considered one of the greatest of all time. I'm not a John Cena guy. Didn't really care a lot for him during the mid-10s when he was at his peak. I've got no reason to care from now. Like I said, the heel turn was the one thing that kept me intrigued, because I was like, I want to see how he portrays it. And there's some people sitting there going, oh, well, now we know why Vince never turned him heel. Vince never turned him heel, but Vince had him there every week. It's a bit hard to do a heel story when he's only available for a certain amount of dates throughout a year. I can understand the creative problem they had with this. I just don't care about what John Cena does for the rest of the year now. Like I said, he's gonna have a match against Brock Lesnar, and I've seen that match dozens of times before. Where's the putting over of the new guys? Who's the big heel that John Cena's now going to put over, being a babyface now?
Well, that's
going to be carrying Cross.
It won't be carrying Cross. No, I think I have an idea of John Cena's run to finish if I had to predict it. Obviously, Paris is probably going to be the Brock match. I imagine Cena wins it. That's my guess, because you need Cena to get a momentum, a boost back win after losing to Cody. I think he goes for the IC title. I've said this already. I think him versus Dom is the match that's your first up-and-coming heel that you can get over further for the IC title. Or Cena wins the title and drops the title back to Dom, because then John Cena's a Grand Slam champion. Dom wins the gold back at some point in the near future afterwards, and that way Dom still gets the heat. I want to see John Cena in War Games. I will say that, because it's just something we've not had the opportunity to see before. And as much as I want to see a match with Braun Breaker, I think Inside War Games is where you might get it. I think that's where you get your Bronson Reed, you get your Seth Rollins again as well. I do think the end of the year though, it's Drew or it's Gunther to finish off. I think that's the last opponent. It's one of those two. If I had to predict right now, I would say Drew. But I wouldn't be surprised if it was Gunther, just purely because of the fact that you talk about putting people over. That would be a very good way to do it. And say John Cena was IC champion, by the way, Gunther could have that strap back, and that just keeps his percentages as a champion in WWE towards the 80%.
Yeah, I could probably see it going that way. I just think ultimately, from my look, this is where I fell at the end of SummerSlam was that I don't care about Cena's remaining matches now. I don't care about Brock Lesnar. I don't really care for Cody being champion again because there is no top heel for him to face. Who's his next challenger going to be? Like, again, this could have been an opportunity to put someone else over. I don't know. And then I don't care about Seth winning because I can't see Seth dropping that title until Mania now. So you've got 4 main event stars, and I don't care about any of them at the minute. Don't get me wrong, they can probably do some creative with it. I just think that you get the finish tonight one with the cash in. I think it's lazy booking. It's easily done. It's very predictable. Not shocking about it as well. They've essentially tried to play off something that he'd done previously at WrestleMania. I'd have been more intrigued if he'd have failed the cash in. I think that would have been a better story to tell. But, ultimately, they don't. And like you said, having Brock Lesnar return to face John Cena, I'm like, oh, well, I don't care about that. Cody got booed for half of that match. How's he supposed to recover now? He's going to come out on Friday, and what people are going to cheer for him? I don't. I think he's on a downward spiral now of boos. I don't think people are going to care for Cody now. I think they've booked him into a position that he's kind of like, well, you have to turn me heel now.
Well, I did say I think we could get Punk versus Cody at WrestleMania next year. I don't think he may not be faced for all time, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I think it's Drew or Logan next for Cody. Possibly both. Triple threat match in Paris would not be against the idea of that. And perhaps maybe you can do a longer story, maybe then with Cody versus Drew, maybe going towards the end of the year before perhaps maybe a Cena match to finish. But I think there are some players for Cody on SmackDown to still wrestle with, but I think a draft is needed. I think they need to freshen the scene up just a little bit. I think it would help things significantly.
I've got a feeling they're going to do Rock Cody. The guy. There's 2 matches that guy's got to have before he retires. One is Roman. One is Cody. They have to do them. You go Survivor Series, Rock versus Cody. Why not? Or the jump probably going to be the Mania match at this point. But as much as I'd like it to be Drew or Logan or some variation of the 2 of them, I don't know. I don't know, man. I'm in the position where I sat there and watched SummerSlam and I was like, do I really want to watch Raw? NXT's still fantastic, but do I really want to watch Raw? Raw was okay. It had some positives to it, like the whole LA Knight coming out and challenging Seth Rollins, but I'm like, he's going to lose again. So LA Knight's in a position where they're not doing nothing with him. So just at the minute, it feels like it's all just predictable. It almost feels like we've gone back a step. Like we've gone forward 1, back 2 with the men's scene. Like it just feels all boring. I've got no interest. Like I said, it's their job to give me a narrative and a creative and a story that would be intriguing. But at the minute, Cody's in a position where he's basically going to have to turn heel because the crowd are going to boo him. Steph's champ, don't care. Cody versus Brock Lesnar versus Cena, don't care.
Fair. That's fair. I will just say one final thing. We've not seen Cody versus Randy Orton yet either properly in a few. That could be something interesting we could see in the winter season or perhaps leading up to May next year. But we need to wrap things up. So quickly, star rating for this match, Cody Rhodes, John Cena.
3 3/4.
I gave it a 4 1/4. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was good.
Yeah.
Right, we'll go through then our bits here. OMG moment of the night.
Essentially anything in that TLC match, but it is Candice LeRae coming off and going through that ladder bridge.
I can't ignore Brock's return, so that is the OMG moment for me. Match of the night.
TLC match. It's my match of the weekend as well.
Yeah, I think it has to be at this point. Although I do think Cody versus Cena is a close second for me. Entrance of the night.
AJ Styles. I thought it was fantastic.
AJ for me as well. MVP of the night.
Candice LeRae for taking that bump, because that was not done well. And I know from what Candice can do on the indies that she can do that stuff. So I was glad that she could do it, and she did it and survived.
Yeah, fair play to that one. It's a really good choice. MVP for me. I'm going to say John Cena. Roll back the years, and I think he had a good, really solid performance against Cody. For me, like I said, I thought it was for full circle for them. Final rating for night 2 out of 10.
Probably a 7. I think this was a considerably better night. I think if you remove the steel cage and the Brock Lesnar thing, it probably goes up in the rankings for me.
I'm still going to give it an 8 because I think the in-ring across the board was very good. There are some controversial takes, maybe a couple of results I didn't like, but hey, look, I'm here to see the show. I'm not here to be fancy booking the whole thing. So yeah, I'm going to take it for what it is. So yeah, so all in all, I gave a 6.5 than 8. So I guess all in all, SummerSlam does hit a 7.25 out of 10.
Mine's a 5 out of 10. No, it's 5.5.
5.5, so there you are. So that's our review there for SummerSlam 2025. Let us know your review now in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. All that good stuff. Keep an eye on the channel as well. More content will be on the way as we're on the road to Clash in Paris. Thanks for watching. Take care. Look after yourselves. We shall see you for the next one.